Thank you all for being here today. Kind of a captive audience, I know. I'll tell you that Tanya and I had the pleasure of attending a training on Friday. Where are you, Corbin? There you are. And we learned everything of what not to do being a facilitator. So I'm going to try to do them all, is what I'm up to today. And you guys can try to catch them because they're pretty funny. One of the things that the lady told us that was training, she said to be sure and air your pits, your armpits. And I thought that was kind of funny. But the reason you do that is because if you don't, then you have tiny T-Rex hands. And they're going like this all the time. And once people start pointing that out, you'll be like, oh my gosh, what is with it? It was very comical. We had all of these what not to do moments and found out that we do some things inappropriately, which I know is hard for you to believe. But what was your favorite, Tanya?
Mine was probably, he hit the nail on the head because I want to connect with our participants, and usually if there's an aisle, he said it's not Miss America, it's running up and down. You're supposed to stay within 108. You're not supposed to turn your back on anyone, but I'm just telling you, if you stand up in front of any groups, because it's so high, you're like, oh, I do that. I can't believe I do that. And one gentleman that we were studying with, he said, well, I really don't do anything. I've been doing this for a long time. And as he was talking to us, he was doing this the whole time.
He was rocking that. Yeah. So we were like, wow, and then they had this one that's the waving man, and I was like, wow, I don't think I've been doing that, but now I'll probably start doing it because we had all these things brought to our awareness, and it's like, oh my gosh, I know we mess it up all the time, but anyhow, perfect opportunity to introduce a new part of our team. Abel Stokes is here with us, so this is part of the gang here, and we're glad to have him. Abel started yesterday for my birthday. I know that Larry planned that. Like, thanks, Larry. Yeah. Always thinking of me. Yeah. So, slip, trips, and falls are what we're up to today. Please make sure that you do sign in on a sheet. There are some handouts you're welcome to have or not. There's just some statistics about slips, trips, and falls. This is the one that if we had to pick what most of our accidents come from in-house for Tri-County, it's slips, trips, and falls. So where are some areas that we've identified that usually these will happen?
Parking lot.
Around the water fountains.
Around the water fountains, Janet said. True. Where else? Parking lot. Parking lot happens. Sometimes weather related with the parking lot, right?
Coming in from outside.
Front doors after it rains. That is definitely one. I myself have done the happy feet dance, coming in around the curve there into the front atrium and bit it hard. So we do have slips, trips, and falls, and it's something that we just need to be aware of because that's when we have a slip, trip, or a fall in-house or a person even at home after work. Typically, it results in a day or maybe two or maybe longer of time off of work, and that ends up affecting all of us. And it ends up affecting our insurance, and you know that all ties together, workers' comp and all of that good stuff. So we need to be good stewards of the money and pay attention to our own safety. So this is just a little fun compilation of some falling people, and see if you can relate to any of these. Can you hit that light for me, Shane?
Oh.
Wow. Ouch. That was quite a step. Yeah. That's a bummer. Face plant on the floor, that's always nice.
Oh, face play on that one.
Yeah. Ladders we'll talk about today.
Oh my God.
That good. Little segment. Oh, that's not. That's not good. Oh, that's not good at all. Yeah. Not paying attention. Literally. If you don't know by now, stay off anything that's that skinny. So, not good. Oh. Sorry, Abel, you found this video.
I didn't see that.
Oh, okay. So there's a lot of things that could go wrong. Oh, slip, trips, and falls. Oh, God. All right, enough to make you hurt. That's what we're up to there. Not a good plan.
Oh.
Got my
Wow. Oh, no. Comes down to not paying attention. Oh, good thing you have his helmet on. This is not going to be good. Uh-oh. Wow. Okay. Oh, goodness. All right. Disaster. Oh, honey, you do fall. Yeah. Crash a roll. All right. So, hit the lights for me there. What I want you to realize is that falls do happen. They're funny for us to watch, and it's all fun and games until someone gets hurt. And people do get hurt from this. So we have to be cautious about it because the end results, it might be funny at the time it's happening, but people can get seriously hurt. So we have some building blocks to slips, trips, and falls here. Slip, trip, and falls are the #1 cause of injury when it comes to work-related injuries. So be aware of that. They can result in serious outcomes. The cost is not only to the worker, but also to the employer. Pain, lost wages, reduced quality of life, depression. The employer, the costs that go along with the person being gone, insurance, all of those good things. So we just need to be aware of it. The definition of a slip, trip, and fall is where there's too little friction between your feet, your footwear, and the walking or working surface. So obviously something's going to go wrong and we're going to lose the good friction and we fall. The causes of slip, trips, and falls can be from 24% of this can happen because of our footwear. A hazard warning, 10%, training, fraud, walking and working surfaces, just because walking surfaces, having an unbalanced walking surface or something that has water on it, even if it's a dry something that has been spilled on the floor, that can be very slippery. When we have winter, sand makes the ground very slick. So things that you might not even think of on a regular day, they've put out to help us have better traction. Once the snow's gone or the ice is gone, it ends up creating a problem for us. The fatality reports for OSHA, fatal falls, slips, or trips took the lives of 668 workers in 2012. That's a lot of people that actually died because of a slip, trip, or fall. Falls to a lower level accounted for 544 of those, or about 81% of those fatalities. So if you're looking at the big picture of things, they actually fell from one place to another, and that's what ended up in the fatalities. Ladders, right? Moving from one section to another, talking about people. Scaffolding is a big deal, absolutely, Janet. Very, very good. Of those cases, 1 in 4 occurred after a fall of 10 feet or less. Now that surprised me, to be honest. So 25% of those were just a short fall. Another 25% of them occurred over 30 feet. So when you look at it, it's not just the people that are a very high distance from one fall to the next. 10 feet or less, that's a pretty small fall, to be honest. That's, you know, how many of you all rednecks have jumped off your roof before? Because that, yeah, see, yeah. I remember my brothers used to think, Brent, you were probably there, as a matter of fact. My brothers used to think the picnic table was a ramp, and they jumped over that thing with everything. Commonly affected body parts would be our knee, our ankle, our foot, wrist and elbow, backwards, our back, shoulder, hip, and head. So, you know, put all that together and it sounds like a problem to me. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, slip, trips, and falls make up the majority of general industry accidents. 25% of reported claims per fiscal year are due to your slip, trips, and falls. This is something that every business, organization, department, office, whatever it might be, needs to keep in mind. And it's something that we also need to take to the level of educating our students, because slips, trips, and falls affect them too. One of the things that is just planted in my mind is when I first started here, and this is so, I shouldn't laugh, but I was down in that portable building, many of you remember that, and this giant parking lot out here in front of Auto Service has a natural slope of that parking lot, right? And I'm standing at the door, Mr. Privet was in there, and this boy had on, it's when boys wear those long trench coats, and he had on a long black trench coat, and he had his hands in both pockets. And he was just like a weeble wobble on the eyes. Bam! And he'd pop back up and bam! And I was just like trying not to look and notice, but thinking at the same time, I hope he just crawled because it was so bad. And he was just wiping out, but it was a student. So we need to be careful. And nowadays, if I didn't have a video camera back then, but I would have been rich on that because it was something. So. All right, human factors that lead to our slips, trips, and falls. Health and physical condition. Now that we have a fitness center, we should see a decline in this, right? So everybody get down there and get their balance in order. I don't suggest yoga because we couldn't walk for 3 days after we did that. Larry was like, yoga. And I was like, I know. So our health and physical condition, our behaviors, the choices we make lead to a lot of our slips, trips, and falls. Carrying or moving, a lot of times we'll have too many things in our hands and we don't want to make another trip. I saw one of those funny e-cards that said, over my dead body, will I make another trip to the car? And they had like 30 grocery sacks on their hands. I thought, that is so mean. So, poor housekeeping with our clutter. Don't go to my office. We'll just leave it at that. Using improper cleaning methods, just wax or polish. We had one of the time we had that happen, didn't we, Benny? What was that? Somebody put some crazy wax down, and it was deadly.
It was way too much wax.
Ooh. I think that Juan we need Juan here today, because I think it was way back when Juan was actually working for that other company and cleaning, and it was like Bambi on ice. So we have to be cautious of that. Signage is important. Signage is actually required by law. When there's something that is a spill, we're supposed to put up those little yellow signs that say there's a wet area on the floor. So that's all of our responsibilities. It's not just somebody who works in physical plant, that's all of us. So make sure we take accountability for that. Inattentive behavior and shortcuts. All of that can add up to problems. Factors that increase the risk of slip, trips, and falls. Wires strung everywhere. I think really for the most part we do better about that nowadays. I don't really see large amounts of cluttered wires in places that I go. I think we're on top of that one. Clutter, just having things in walkways where they shouldn't be. I really think we do pretty good about that as well. Not paying attention, that's one that happens to us. What are we doing instead of paying attention?
Texting.
Texting, thinking, talking on the phone, talking to another person. These things, this does lead to a lot of slips, trips, and falls. Improper carrying items down walkways or stairs. If you can't see around it, you probably shouldn't be carrying it by yourself, obviously, okay? Typical trip hazard before the corrections. This happens. We have different levels of walking surfaces all over this campus, to be honest. And how thick does it have to be before it turns into a trip hazard?
Not even that big. about
Quarter
a
inch
quarter
is what they tell us. A quarter inch of change from one surface to the next can create a trip hazard. And even a seam in the carpet. I mean, we've all had those trips over things that just were nothing, right? Just tripping over a ghost in the walkway. So think when you add to that that you've got surfaces that do change. So we need to be aware of this. A lot of times the problem that leads to a fall of an uneven surface has to do with our footwear as well. The shoes that we choose will end up creating a problem too. Ground and floor surfaces, trip hazard, quarter inch or more at any joint or crack leads to a trip hazard. And this is something that we need to be aware of to, as we walk around campus and do our jobs, identify things that you see that are really going to be a possible hazard for others. And please let somebody in the physical plant know that. Eric's group, they're really good about things. I see them all over campus all the time. But if we can help out by identifying things that are there. We actually had a trip hazard identified by Abel's brother Sam that does adjunct for us that was down in front of our incubator that he tripped and really hurt his, kind of almost to the point of, oh my gosh, we'll call it a sprain on an ankle of a surface that was just uneven and we didn't know it was there. So people that don't go through those areas on a regular basis might not realize that there is a trip hazard in the area. Slip, if it's wet outside, the mat is folded back. This happens a lot of the times. If you see the mat folded back, kick it back over, please. Be aware of that. Try to help out. The wrinkles in the mats create a lot of problems. Mats are kind of a love-hate relationship because you want them there to keep the water off the ground, but at the same time, they look hideous. They're hard to move and clean. They turn up on the corners. There's just one of those things. It's a do I want them or do I not? And we have them in some areas and then we don't in others. So, just be aware. Accidents are preventable. Make sure you close file cabinets or storage drawers. Push your chairs in. Report things that are crossing the walkway. Don't report it. Take care of it. Okay? We don't need to report it. Take care of the problem. Keep your working areas clean and well lit. Report any burned out bulbs. We've got bright lights everywhere at this point. I don't think we really have areas that we would consider dark anywhere around here. Be aware of your surroundings and report any perceived danger. Do not prop the fire doors open. We know this. Be careful about putting things where they're propped because if you're propping it with something, the prop becomes a hazard. Don't store materials in stairwells. We really don't have stairwells, which is a good thing. Don't store trash cans in front of the doorway. Don't use inappropriate blocks to prop open the doors. Do not use a chair to block an emergency cutoff valve. I don't think we even have any of those around here, but what do we have instead? Fire pools, right? So you don't want to put something in front of a fire pool because the fire pools are there for a reason. You need to be able to access them, okay? And just be cautious.
And the extinguishers either, don't block them.
Don't block your extinguishers either. If the fire department comes through to do a walk-through inspection, they're going to look for those things. If you've got doors propped one way or the other, they don't want that. Walkways need to be clear. They don't want anything about, is it a foot from the ceiling? 18 inches from the ceiling. As far as things on top of cabinets, we all tend to stash stuff on top of cabinets. 18 inches from the ceiling. Make sure there's never anything hanging from your sprinkler things too. The fire department will note these things and we don't want to create a problem for it. But for slip, trips, and falls, make sure that you're not blocking an exit or a walkway. Okay? All right. Questions over our slips, trips, and falls? Anybody have a story to share? Slips, trips,
I
and
tripped
falls?
over a sidewalk. It was buckled a little bit, but not enough you could even see it. And I hurt my arm so bad I thought it was broke. But it wasn't broken, but I couldn't use it for a couple of weeks.
this happens all the time. I mean, and it's unfortunate because it's just things that, you know, we're just having our normal day and all of a sudden, there you go. That's right. And it will happen. Tara Stevens.
You do need to fill out the report, an accident incident report.
Good point. If you happen to have an injury of any type, whether you want them, whether they go to the doctor or not, if they consider themselves hurt,
Yes.
okay, then please fill out an online incident report. The incident reports also help us to notify areas that need addressed, as far as the, you know, bringing it to our attention that there was a uneven walk surface if that was the case. Any other stories? Yes, Benny.
I just, this is up to Eric, but I know we're getting ready to paint some of the curbs yellow,
Okay.
caution yellow. If anybody can think of any other places that we need to do that, that would be helpful. Let Colleen or Eric know, and Grant and I is going to start doing that here before too long. So.
Is that so they're more visible for us?
Yeah, just kind of a caution to let you know to pick up your feet.
Okay.
Right, you know, because it's mainly over there on the west side right now is where we're going to start doing it.
Okay.
But, I know I've done it over around the flagpole area before,
Mm-hmm.
and if some places are needing it or whatever, just kind of let them know so we can go ahead and do those areas too.
Excellent, excellent. And, you know, other than just the obvious ones, I've seen students fall in front of the doors whenever the ground is wet, you know, raining outside, and one day there were several of them actually that slipped in front of the Osage room door right down here. It was kind of startling. But sometimes there are areas that we notice that have slip, trip, and fall issues. Any others that we should point out just for awareness for each other? Any others come to mind that you hear?
I just, you know, I've seen people fall, but mainly out, like I said, in the parking lots. And once they get up to the areas, you know, the sidewalks and stuff like that, you know, I don't see. And you know, and there's one bad thing that makes the sidewalks get out of whack is tree roots and stuff. And I don't think we have any of those.
Okay.
Now over in front of Strategy Center, there's some of the sidewalks that are getting kind of old and starting to get decayed, and there's some over on the east side over here.
Mm-hmm. They're crumbling on the edges.
Yeah, and but other than that, I think most of our sidewalks are pretty good
Okay.
that I can think of.
Okay.
From the accident reports from last year, when we tracked them, the vast majority of our student falls were right by culinary.
Yeah.
You know, the buses let them off, and all tracked in with a moisture on their shoes.
Yep.
That area was 90% of the student falls.
Yeah. It's a rough area right there. It's just, you know, they come in and they're going to turn, usually, to go one direction or the other, and their shoes slide. You know, that just happens. So just be aware of that. Cement, depending on the weather, can be very slippery too. So we do appreciate that a lot of you all do a great job of clearing things off for us, but just remember that the salt and the granules end up very slippery after the fact.
That's the reason why we don't put down too much sand, because we used to do that at Phillips, and then when you know, it helps you with some traction, but it was causing a big price for maintenance, because once you go into the doors, first thing you do is wipe your feet, and we got those grates
Yeah.
just right inside the doors in here.
Yes.
Well, those were filling up and getting enough sand in there over a period of time
Uneven.
to where it was humps, and people were tripping over that. So,
Right.
and then you got to take all those grates off and have it clean, and then the sand was also tracking inside, and on slick floors like that with water and everything, it was like an ice rink. So that's the cause of people slip and drip.
One thing leads to another. It's so true. It's so true. And I can recall down in daycare world that the pea gravel, you know, coming in, and then it would kill the vacuum. I mean, just one thing after the next, you know, that type of stuff. So just be aware. We're just asking you to create an awareness of trying to watch out for yourself as far as being safe, not creating a problem, trying to carry too many things. Help someone out if you see they have their hands full. We do have some carts. Carts are interesting. Sometimes the carts are weeble wobble too, but you know, try to judge what's going to be best to make it a safe in and out trip for you all. The event center, we have a lot of people coming in and out of there now, and they're carrying a lot of things. So this is another area to watch and see if you can be helpful to people, and that's part of our customer service too. So
I did that. And another story is I was helping people in one day. I think it was one day on Saturday, and it's real slick. And I was asking some people if they needed some help while the ice melt was melting stuff. But there's a little lady pulled up in the handicapped area, had some stuff in her arms, and I said, "Ma'am," I come up and I said, "Ma'am, you need me to help?" She said, "No, all I need you to do is get out of my way."
yeah, how about that? Gosh, Benny, you must have looked frightening that day.
Okay.
Well, at least you offered, right? You were there if she crashed, you could pick her up. How funny. Okay, well, that actually concludes our training for today. Short and sweet, to the point. Keep an eye out to help one another and be safe. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.